Yeah.
Oh, he's gone.
Who's gone?
All right. I guess when he realized we were done, we were done. All right. We've hooked up with Sean Shapiro, the TikTok traffic cop. So that's coming up on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Okay. That was, you know what? I'm glad we came back from this. So we are going to be on the second half of the show.
Jerry, problems really hindering the debate on the Don
minor
Valley
issue,
Parkway northbound. This is
and
right.
we don't know why.
Right lane blocked. It's following a stall. You will find about
really
a
low
15-minute
gain
backup
coming off of News Talk. I don't know why. That's probably our fault. But we're going to go with it. All right. For everyone who's watching, we are about to go live with News Talk 1010. And I'm probably going to put in a warranty claim on this device that's not working properly. I don't understand what's going on with it, but it's a fantastic device that has failed twice now. This is the second time it's ever happened. And I don't know what the cause is at all whatsoever. In any case, we're rolling with the punches. Your questions being answered live on air and where else? Online. Yeah. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable of the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. And we are answering your traffic and police questions for an hour. Well, we were supposed to be doing an hour and a half. We lost 15 minutes to me struggling to get this computer working.
Question for the traffic cop.
Right now, we're currently sitting.
Okay. Oh, I think we can hear you a little better now. In any case, yes, we are broadcasting. And I've often been asked if I can get the technical people to fix whatever ails us. I am the technical people. So when things go sideways, it's just me. That's it. But we seem to be back in action. Okay.
His favorite end of summer tradition returns to deliver its signature blend of new and nostalgic. Listen to The Rush with Resh Minair and Scott MacArthur for your chance to ride all day passes.
Is there a TikTok page similar to this for BC or Vancouver? So Brooks, Alberta, yes. I don't know about BC. For BC, yeah, I'm not aware of any. Not aware, but we should get them going. We should get them on the program. Can you get okay? I'm gonna save these questions for when we get back with Jerry and just after the commercial break. And I'm boosting up their gains so that we can actually hear them because it's so super quiet. Keenan says, hi. Hello. We got you. All right.
It might be quiet because I took the commercials out of your ears.
Oh, very good. Yeah, it's super low. I've got you pumped up to full blast on the board.
How am I coming through? Am I coming
really,
through okay?
Really quiet.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Okay.
It's probably something going on in this piece of hardware failing. I don't think anyone was ever supposed to use this every day for a year and a half. Oh, apparently you're coming in clear. It's just me that's having an issue, according to one of my listeners. So you're coming in clear. So, I won't touch a thing. It's probably just me now. It's also a managed computer. We have so updates come in and updates break things.
Yes, they do, don't they?
It's magical. Yes, and everything appeared to be working prior to you coming on. So I know it's not your fault, but we're going to blame something.
Yeah, just blame us. I mean, we're okay with that.
For anyone who's watching us on TikTok or Instagram, we are joined by News Talk 1010, the Jerry Agar Show. If you want to reach out to them to ask your questions through the radio, you can do that by visiting or by going to 416-872-1010. It's a telephone number if you didn't recognize it. You can also text 71010 to ask your questions, and it'll be through that way. Or you can come through and join us on TikTok or Instagram Live or YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, all those other places. Okay. So many good things happening. How much time do we have before Jerry comes back?
Just about a minute. Yeah, about a minute from now.
A minute. Minute's good.
Yeah, we're up in a minute.
Actually, you're down to, okay, maybe this is why, because you're down to, I can pump you up a bit here. Maybe this is why. How about now? How are you coming through?
This.
Just going to test your volume if you can give me a test for a second.
Yeah. How does this sound? Are we sounding a little bit better right now?
Yeah, for some reason.
Of course, I don't have Jerry's booming voice, but,
Oh, apparently that was too loud. Okay, I'll keep it down here. Yeah, I don't know. We're messing around with settings here, but you're not getting any louder in my ears. I'll try pumping up my headphones. Maybe that'll work.
Maybe your headphones.
Boy, this is a day of experimentation. All right.
We can hear you, by the way, and your wonderful tones loud and clear.
All right, cool. At least we're working somewhere, and I'm not sure. We're playing levels here.
All right, I'm going to talk to Jerry for a second.
Sure. So still the mystery of why things aren't perfect. But hey, what can we do?
We have Sean Shapiro.
Okay, we're going to keep it where it is. All the mysteries of the internet, right here, right now, for your viewing enjoyment. If I get my
All right,
learners...
I'm turning off my mic so that you can hear Jerry next.
Sounds
okay?
good. I'm ready in case Jerry comes in hot.
This is the Jerry Agar Show on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Apologies for the technical difficulties, but we had an interesting conversation nonetheless. But now we can welcome Sean Shapiro, the TikTok traffic cop. Good morning.
Good morning, Jerry.
All right, good to see all systems are go. Sean Shapiro is on TikTok at Traffic Services on a regular basis, talking to you about traffic questions, and joins us from time to time here on the radio. Let's start with this one. Somebody wrote in, is it a traffic or parking violation to park a gas-powered car in a spot designated for e-vehicles? And if so, why? This has to be a violation of some sort of human right, this person writes.
Well, you're parking on private property at that point, and they can dictate whether or not you're conforming to the rules. And they can have a ticket issued for doing that.
Okay, so they're on private property, but you would issue a ticket?
So we can issue tickets on behalf of the complaints from the private property. They would sign off saying that they're violating, that your vehicle is violating their rules, and based on that, we can issue a ticket. Because I don't think it's a big one, but we can certainly issue the ticket.
All right, so then you're saying that those kinds of designations are only on private property. The city doesn't have e-car parking only spots.
I vaguely recall seeing some bylaws that are coming into play more and more. Now, I'm not a parking officer, and Aaron, actually here, Aaron is in earshot. Parking in vehicle or parking a regular gas-powered vehicle in an electric spot. You get a ticket. She says you get a ticket. So there must be bylaws coming into play if they haven't already. But I'm getting the nod.
And another question here that somebody sent in, when are red light cameras triggered to take a photo and issue a fine?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
When are red light cameras triggered to take a photo and issue a fine?
So they're different in every municipality. Municipalities can set their own numbers, and generally anything over the speed limit. And the truth is you shouldn't be speeding, and it won't be an issue if you're not.
Okay, but red light is also for going.
Oh, I'm sorry. Red light cameras is so you have to. So as you're approaching, I'm sorry. Our technical issues are still really low in my ear, but this is why I'm. Anyway, red light cameras. So anytime you cross the stop bar, you enter that intersection after it's turned red. If that's a millisecond, it's a millisecond. You've run the red. So it can determine the speed as you're approaching, and it calibrates to catch you when you've passed that line.
Okay, a lot of people will go through the light, and it's going to turn red when they get partway through. Will they get the ticket?
If they're already in the intersection when it changes, no. It has to have been red prior to your entry.
Here is Jim from London.
Turning left on a green light with a green arrow, and the bike comes through, and I hit him. Who's at fault?
So you're turning left on a signal, a green signal in advanced, and they've run the red. You can both. You've got to make sure that your turn can be done in safety. You do have the right of way at that point. So depending on the observations and what the officer determines, you could either both be charged, but the cyclist would definitely be at fault for running the red.
Well,
so there may be a balance of fault. Both people could be charged, or it may only be the cyclist.
Did this actually happen to you, Jim?
Yes, it did. The bicyclist was coming fast on the sidewalk and went straight through.
Sidewalk, they're totally in the fault there. They can't ride on the sidewalk at all.
Yeah, exactly. So
wait a minute, though, Jim. This was in London.
Yep.
And what was the result? Did you get a ticket as a result of that?
No, I barely missed him. Thankfully for that, eh?
Oh, you didn't hit him?
No. If I had to hit him, would I have been at fault?
So again, you got to be responsible for your vehicle. Now, if someone jumps out, and this is a situation where a cyclist or a pedestrian could jump out on traffic, in that situation, I would not charge you. But it is depending on the interpretation. Someone could say, "Well, you should have seen them coming." Well, if they were at high speed on a sidewalk, I don't think you'd be at fault at all.
Couldn't see him.
All right. Thanks very much. You might not actually be expecting that from the standpoint that, as you pointed out, Sean, the bicycle rider doesn't belong on the sidewalk in the first place.
Absolutely, and I was the earlier. I didn't realize it was a sidewalk, but if they're running a red light, they're also liable. But you have situations where two people take the cyclist out of the scenario for a second. Two people lawfully turning, the person making the right turn on a red, and the person in an advanced. Both of them have the lawful right to move. Both of them have to make sure they can complete the movement in safety. So it's a bit of an evaluation situation. Here is Greg from Uxbridge. Go ahead, Greg.
Yes, good morning. I was wondering, on a 4-lane highway, if an emergency vehicle comes up behind you, and do both lanes pull to the right, or just the lane that they're in, I guess, or maybe explain that to me. What's the legal position?
So you've got emergency vehicles that are approaching. Their sirens and lights are on. What does everybody have to do?
Yeah, does both lanes pull to the right, or do we just leave room?
Everybody's responsible for slowing down, moving to the closest edge of roadway or curb, and coming to a stop. Now, if the vehicle, by the time you make that maneuver, has passed you, you're no longer required to come to a stop, and you can get back into the game. But everyone is responsible for pulling over and coming to a stop.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Somebody sent in a question here, wondering if it is legal for cops to park in the bike lane and go in to get coffee or food.
Parking to get food or drink, no. If we're responding to a call, then yes. Police officers should not be parking in bicycle lanes.
Okay, they should not. If you were rolling down the road and you saw a police car parked in the bicycle lane and you know there wasn't an emergency there, you saw Officer Bob just in there in line at Tim's getting coffee, would you actually ticket the cop?
So if I was a sergeant, I imagine that would be a cause for an investigation or a talking to. But I would also assume that there is a call. I wouldn't know that there isn't a call, because it could be self-initiated. It could be a situation that would require stopping. If they're just sitting in a coffee shop, that's inappropriate.
Okay, that's not what I asked you, though. I know it's
no, you asked me if I would ticket them.
Yeah.
I generally don't ticket anyone for parking. That's generally something that a parking enforcement officer does. But I could ticket them. It would definitely go and be an interesting day at the office for me.
Here is David from Toronto.
Good morning. How are you today?
We're well. Go ahead.
Very specific question. Outside of Mount Sinai Hospital, University and Gerrard, there's a very thick boulevard between southbound and northbound. So if you're going southbound and you're turning left onto Gerrard, you turn into the intersection, and because the boulevard is so thick, are you stopped at that red light now, or can you proceed?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm trying to visualize the intersection, and if you're continuing the turn, you're not part of the red light. That red light's not for you. From
you're not part. Okay, because I've seen people doing both, so I was curious which is the right one.
Yeah, there's a lot of confused people. You're now in the intersection, and you're responsible to clear it.
Correct. Okay.
So just keep going. Yeah.
Even though the boulevard's so thick.
Yep. Thanks very much.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I have that problem as a pedestrian, Sean. If I walk east toward Yonge from the radio station here, and I get to University, and the light turns such that I can walk, it's hard to get across that street before the light turns against you.
And you're in a different situation as a pedestrian, where you have that safe place to hang out. As a vehicle, you're obstructing traffic if you don't clear the intersection, and you're obligated to do that, to clear it as a cyclist or as a vehicle. But as a pedestrian, you'd be expected to wait until the cycle goes through and you can cross safely.
Somebody wrote in suspecting, Sean, that if you saw a police officer pulled over in the bike lane in at Tim's getting a coffee, not only would you not give them a ticket, you'd pull over, go in and join them for coffee.
Well, that I wouldn't do.
Okay.
Here's the deal. And I was trying to put myself in the situation which you suggest. I see them having a coffee. If I see a vehicle pulled over, a police vehicle pulled over, I'm going to assume it's doing the right thing and there lawfully. I'm not going to be investigating why that police car is there, because I know we can lawfully do it when we're responding to a call. So it wouldn't even come into my radar.
Okay. Well, short section today, but I'm glad we hooked up, and we'll talk in a few weeks.
Absolutely. We'll see you then.
All right. Sean Shapiro is the TikTok traffic cop, and he's on at Traffic Service.
So I don't know what we're going to do here. We're going to turn down the volume, because I'm right now pumping up that channel so loudly that it's annoying to myself to hear myself. All right. We're going to remove them and get back to a regular day at the office, answering your traffic and police questions. Let me change the graphics here. Yeah. Now I understand that there were the feed coming off of, and we'll have to call tech support to figure out what the cause of this is. But it's really, really annoying. So apologies for the technical difficulties. Please give me feedback if the audio is good for you. If you can hear me a-okay now, because that matters. Okay. We're going to get to questions because I've got a whole bunch of them here waiting that you've been asking, and yeah, I love it when things don't go to plan. You know, gets me sweating, gets the nerves going, reminds you that you're alive. Okay. Can you get a ticket for stunt driving on private property, like on your own farmer's field? Yes, you can. You can. As of September 12, 2021, laws were amended to include farmers' fields, as a matter of fact. In ground, above ground, below ground, every kind of ground, private or public, public access or not. It's all covered under the HTA now. So don't stunt drive. Unless it's a track, unless you have a go-kart track or an actual race car track, that's the only time that you'd be exempt and permitted to drive in that manner, which would be anything stunting, whether it be over 150 kilometers an hour, or if we're talking about drifting, or lighting up your tires and doing burnouts, whatever that is. Those are all stunt driving. Just because I'm curious, and no, it still doesn't work. No Q&A. Still no Q&A on TikTok. Thanks, TikTok. All right, we have a bunch of stuff here. Can you test drive a motorcycle from a dealership without insurance? Vehicles from a what's it called? Dealership are covered under their insurance policy. You don't need to have insurance to test drive their motorcycle. They have to have insurance to put it on the road with their dealer plate. So yes, you can if you have the appropriate license. That's all that's required. Will cops pull over a motorcycle if the plate is not visible or bent? Yes, absolutely. We look very closely for those, because those people who bend their plates or make them not visible are generally the folks who are choosing to drive illegally. Doing all the stunt driving business, doing all the dangerous maneuvers. They're specifically bending and modifying their plates for that purpose. So, yeah, we're very interested in people who are choosing to make it harder for us to see them. Quick thing before I jump into some more questions. Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Today, officers from the team that are dedicated into changing driver and rider behavior on the road. The reason the way they do that is by issuing tickets. They don't give out hugs. They don't give out hard hands. It's all about tickets, because they're trying to change driver behavior. They are trying to make the road safer for everybody. They're doing that today in 23 Division and 53 Division, which are the communities of neighborhoods of Rexdale, Jamestown, Martin Grove, Lawrence Park, Yonge and Eglinton, Rosedale, Leaside, neighborhoods that, based on stats, show that they need a heightened response. In the day that's chosen. It's chosen by big brain people, analysts. They know stuff that we don't. Okay. A question about rental cars. Who can drive them? Well, that's based on an agreement you make with the rental car company. Legally, any licensed driver can operate them. However, the insurance and the agreement that you make with the rental car company when you rent a vehicle says who's authorized to drive and who's not. They may say you have to be 25 to drive. They may say that only you, as the person under contract, can drive. That's up to them. They get to make that decision. And if you choose to break that rule, they might have penalties or insurance implications. So don't mess with them. Do what you're supposed to do, or you may find yourself spending a lot of money. A lot of money. Okay. HOV has replaced the passing lane. This mean that next lane is now the new passing lane? No, HOV is not a passing lane. HOV is set up. It's a high occupancy vehicle lane, and there are other people who qualify to use it. But the goal, or the reason that exists, is that when there is a tremendous amount of volume on the road and traffic's not moving, the HOV lane still moves. Not fast, just moves. So if you're using that as the fast lane, you're wrong. You're not allowed to exceed the speed limit in any lane. The speed limit that's posted is the maximum, not the minimum, not the suggested, not the nice to have. It's the actual maximum. And I'd love to see way more enforcement of it. I'd like to see enforcement on every lane for speeding. If you speed, you should be ticketed. That's the idea. We want to slow you down because speed kills. And for the folks who don't believe it, well, have you looked at the news recently? We've had a lot of people that have been killed, and speed has been a factor in a lot of those cases. Just look at them. Cars upside down. That doesn't happen because you're going too slow. Is it illegal to drive with only running lights, no high beams? You mean like they're not functional? You need to have high beams, but you need to have two functioning headlights in the proper whatchamacallit, in regular running. So your high beams are running lights. Running lights are high beams. They're the same bulb that's active when you're using them, unless you have LEDs for your running lights. But the high beams are a low power version of your running lights. Your actual headlights have to be functional. You can't drive around with at night with high beams. So you didn't specify day or night. But now daytime running lights in the daytime aren't a requirement. They're for the purposes of being sold, but no one gets pulled over for not having daytime running lights. I got a red light ticket. I am a driving instructor. Possibly my student didn't stop on light. Yes, I would be looking at your logs to find out who was driving at the time that you were in the car when the ticket was issued, because you could track it back, and if they ran a light, you're still responsible as the vehicle owner. Boom, boom, boom. Can a cop see your speed from the other side of the highway, like on a 6-lane highway? The other side? So if we're measuring speed, yes, we can, depending on if we're employing speed measurement device that is radar or laser, we are able to get you coming, going, approaching from the back of our vehicle, from the front. If it's radar, if it's laser, it depends on what we're pointing at. But yes, we can certainly get you from either side. Is vaping while driving illegal? I couldn't find the answer. Vaping, if it's legal substance, if you're not vaping with anything that's illegal, like marijuana or some kind of THC or controlled substance, then yeah, as long as you don't have people under the age of 16 in your vehicle, at which point it would be illegal. Okay. Please tell, can we use high beam if we're going alone on the road and it's too dark? That's what high beams are for, so you can see. You can't be within 160 meters of oncoming traffic, and you can't be within 60 meters of another vehicle approaching them. But aside from that, you can use them when it's dark. Is chrome window tint legal? No, not on the windows left and right of the driver, and certainly nothing allowed on the windshield. We talk about tint all the time, and there are very specific regulations as to what you can have in Ontario when it comes to tint. So nothing on the front windshield, no more than 30% light blockage on the windows left and right of the driver, and for the back of the car, you can have as dark as you want. Now, the reason that chrome or reflective tint is not permitted is because you cannot prevent someone from seeing inside your vehicle. I know people want to pick their nose in private, but that's not an option you have in Ontario. We have to all watch you pick your nose. Yes. But not joking. Well, that was a joke, but we don't want to watch you pick your nose. The deal is with the tint is that we have to be able to see if you're wearing your seatbelt, if you're using your phone, if you're consuming alcohol. We have to make observations. If you're preventing us from doing it, you're obscuring the interior of your vehicle. It's against the law under the HTA. What is this? Can we discuss legalities of left-hand turns onto one-way streets at a red light? So if you are on a one-way street and you are traveling or wanting to turn left on to another one-way street, you can do that on a red light as long as it's not signed, otherwise preventing it. So from one-way street to another one-way street, you can make a left on a red. That's the only time you can. Otherwise, a right turn on red is the only thing legal. Now, you have to make sure it's safe to make that turn and that it's not signed preventing it. Is there an age limit for operating electric stand-on scooters? So when it comes to e-kick scooters, first off, you have to know that you are not allowed to operate them at all in the city of Toronto. They are not. They're prohibited. That's what it is. A funny little thing about Costco, by the way, they sell one that's prohibited. They sell one that's capable of going more than 24 kilometers an hour. I got to put that on my feed. What am I looking for here? Oh, that's what it is. Ontario. I want to check. I think it's 14 years old. Ontario e-kick scooter pilot. Let me just look this up for you. And I said 14 years old? There is a age. Where is it? Minimum pilot sets out. Yeah, I want to know what those requirements are. It doesn't specify. Where is it? 16 years old. Okay. So you must be at least 16. So it's the same as for a, is that e-scooter? Is that the same one? I think it is. Apparently it's 16 years old. To wear a helmet, which is funny because if you're under 18, you have to wear a helmet. Oh, it's a helmet under 18, but it's 16 to operate them. So there you go. As we go down the rabbit hole. And so oddly enough, you don't have to wear one from my reading of this if you, on an e-kick scooter, but an e-bike, you do have to wear a helmet at all times. They're capable of going 32 kilometers an hour. Now, if you have an e-kick scooter that goes more than 24, it's not an e-kick scooter at all. It's a motorcycle. If you have a seat mounted to your e-kick scooter, which I've seen a whole bunch of them in the city of Toronto, they're Motorcycles, they need license, ownership, and insurance. A lot of rules. Make sure you're following all of them, because what will happen if you get charged is you'll be charged as a motor vehicle operator. You'll be required to have a license. You don't have it, you get charged for that. If you don't have insurance, you get charged for that. $5,000 to $25,000 for not having insurance on a motor vehicle. Yeah. What is this? GM, can enforcement of covered license plate be given in parking? Oh, be given to parking enforcement officers? Our parking enforcement officers don't have. Or can they be given by? I'm not sure I understand this. Paul from Toronto wants to know. GM is good morning. I just figured that out. Good morning to you, Paul. Can enforcement of covered license plates? So do you mean can we give that ability to write the ticket to parking enforcement officers, or is it can we give them tickets to the enforcement? I'm not sure what we're asking. If you mean can they write that ticket? No, they don't write HTA tickets, and that's an HTA offense. They write parking. Now, is it possible? Is that something that could be downloaded? Potentially. But it's not something that's set up right now. That'd be interesting. I don't know. I do not know. One-way street. Do bikes in the bike lane have to comply with directional of traffic flow? Yes, they do. You can't go contra. Contra flow lanes are specifically marked. You must go in the appropriate direction when you are on the road. Hey, if you're watching on one of the many channels that we're broadcasting on, welcome. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service, and I should probably put this nice frame because I could see my refrigerator in the background. That was not clean or nice. So what's the deal? Why am I telling you this? Well, if you want to ask questions by YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, or Facebook, you can do that by using the bubble right there. Just make a comment in the comments and I see it. If you're on Twitter, you can't do that because it doesn't work. And then I don't know why. I'm not a computer guy. Well, I'm a computer-ish guy, but not that guy. In any case, Twitter, you got to use something else to get us, and you can use it you can use trafficcop.ca. It is a website that will take you to our Volley page. Volley will allow you to send me video, voice, or text, and I'll answer it. Now, if you're on Instagram, use the Q&A. That's the question mark in the bubble. And when you are on TikTok, you have the choice of comments, which are being moderated. We have folks who are cutting and pasting your questions and putting them into a feed that I can get to them, and that works. That works well. Can I get a DUI on a scooter? Yes, you can. Electric scooter is, so the criminal code says anything other than muscular power or any conveyance, because a canoe, you can get DUI in a canoe. Pikachu wants free pizza. From where? Free pizza sounds good, but I don't know where you get it. Okay. License plate, tinted covers versus clear. Any license plate cover or frame is illegal under the Highway Traffic Act. You can be charged for having anything obstructing your license plate. Now, people say, well, I can still read it. Anything obstructing, covering, even clear ones are illegal. Now, are we focusing on clear ones? Are we driving around looking for people to ticket for clear license plate covers? No, we are not. Are you eligible for a ticket? Yes, you are. And there's a difference. We are looking for people who are obstructing or obscuring their license plates as a priority, but know that you could be charged. What are the steps of buying a new car? Dennis 15 wants to know. You find a car that you like, you should probably get it checked out mechanically to make sure it's okay, and it's something that you want to be, investing in. And then based on the fact that you've done that, you buy it. The owner signs the green slip if it's private sale, and then you take that to the ministry and have it transferred. You get a new car buyer's guide or buyer's package, which gives some information. And that's pretty much it. You get your plates and you register the vehicle in your name, and you make sure you have insurance, and then you're good to go. Well, actually, you should do that before you transfer ownership. In any case, I don't know if that was your question or what exactly you were looking for, but hopefully I've answered your question. I generally just buy vehicles at dealerships, so I haven't had to buy a used car in a long time, and I don't know if, is there something I've missed out? Is there more to it? We have to get the vehicle safety before you register it, or you have to get temporary plates. Temporary sticker? Temporary. Because you have to have the vehicle all safetied up. I buy cars through dealerships. I buy cars, even when I buy used cars, I buy them through dealerships because I want to make sure that I'm buying through a reputable place that is, going to be able to stand by their product that they've sold me, so I have someone to go to when I want to complain. And sometimes you have to complain. If you drive with a suspended license, what is the punishment? That's the question here. And let me look it up so you can get all the details, because there's more than just a thing. So suspension, drive while suspended. Let's see here. Driving under license, no, that's not the one I want. Operate vehicle, no, that's for permit. What am I looking for here? Driver's license. So many things, lots of things. Driver's licenses. Okay. Scrolling. Driving while under criminal code suspension. That's not the one you want. Okay, here we go. So, okay. It's no set fine. It's an arrest and seizure authority. Every person who drives a motor vehicle or streetcar on the highway while his or her driver's license is suspended under the act, under an act or of the legislation or regulation under thereof, blah, 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 blah. First offense, a fine not less than $1,000 and not more than $5,000. For each subsequent offense, a fine not less than $2,000, not more than $5,000, or to imprisonment for a term of not more than 6 months, or to both. So you pay money and you might go to jail. There you go. Is the yellow speed sign on an exit ramp a speed limit or a suggested ramp speed? It is a suggested ramp speed by big brain people called engineers that tell you what the optimal speed is to not fall off the road, like G-forces pulling you sideways. That's ultimately it. White signs with black print, those are the regulated signs. That's the speed limit. We don't generally do radar. It's a self-correcting problem. You go too fast on a ramp, you tend to fall off of said ramp. Okay. Appropriate protocol if you suspect a driver is under the influence while you are actively driving. If you, as a civilian, see this and you believe someone's under the influence of drugs or alcohol or is having a medical episode that requires immediate attention because they're putting the lives of other people or themselves in danger, call 911. That is the deal. You call 911. Do you follow them? Take direction from the dispatcher. Generally, they're going to tell you not to because you're putting yourself at risk. But if you're keeping a distance, again, take direction. Dennis15 says, is certification necessary? In order to register a vehicle, to transfer ownership, no, but to get it plated for use on the road, yeah, certification is required. That's why you get temporary plates, to get you the plate temporarily to get to the mechanic to get it certified. But yes, you cannot drive an unsafe vehicle on the road. Okay. Elusive Mosswins. Was it Mosswine or Mosswine? Mosswin. Anyway, the message is, g'day, mate. Just popping in to say g'day from Australia since you're live. Well, thank you very much. I have family in Australia. A big g'day back to you. I want to go back to Australia. I don't want to sit on a plane for 24 hours. I had a lot of fun there. And I miss my family that's from there because it's been, oh my goodness. I went to visit my cousin when she was 12 or 13, and she's now married with children, so it's been a while. Okay. Parking enforcement used to enforce expired Val tag stickers. Suggestion, maybe they can enforce covered license plates. Not a bad idea, Paul. But I'm not the maker of rules, so I'll certainly put my hand up at the next meeting when they ask me something. I'll pay it forward. I'll suggest it, and I'm sure everyone in Toronto will just love me for it. But I will suggest it. Will a red light camera catch a car turning right on a red without stopping? Yes, it will. It literally catches people who don't stop. So whether you go straight through or you turn, it'll still catch you. What happens if you get caught driving without insurance? That is a good question. $5,000 to $25,000 on your first offense, and up to 6 months in jail. $5,000 to $25,000 is more than most people would ever have thought that, and some people are okay with that. But not so good when you get sued and you are paying millions of dollars, up to, I think, is it $2 million max in Ontario for what you can get sued for? In any case, it's not a good thing. I'm moving to a different city, so while loading up my car, can I block my rear view mirror? As long as you have a clear view to the rear by way of your side mirrors, your rear view mirror hanging on your windshield doesn't have to be functional. So yes, you can. You need to make sure that the stuff inside is strapped down and safe, because if you brake hard and everything in the trunk becomes, part of the front seat, that's going to be insecure load even within your vehicle. At very least, it's going to be overcrowding and dangerous. Forget any charges. It's dangerous. You don't want to get in that situation. Can you show insurance card on your phone, or do you need a paper copy? If your insurance company provides you an electronic version, then you can use the electronic version. If you are, you can't take a picture of your pink card though. Are those VW dune buggies road legal? As far as I know, they are. They're old. They predate a lot of the regulations, so I think they are, for that reason, legal. What is this? Illegal to continually drive in the fast lane of a highway. It's not. So you can drive in any lane of the highway, but you can't impede traffic, and you cannot drive it slowly in every lane. So if you're driving below the speed limit, you should be in the right lanes. You shouldn't be causing people to drive around you. If you're driving the speed limit, technically, no one should be going faster than you. So I don't know what the issue is. Even though this morning somebody had an issue with me because I was driving at a speed they didn't approve of. So they wanted to accelerate quickly and pass me on the right because they wanted to go much faster than the speed limit. Yeah, not cool. If you're going to be driving, know that you can never drive beyond the speed limit. Additionally, it's not a passing lane, speeding lane, fast lane. It's a lane that allows you to go up to the speed limit. And if you're driving below the speed limit, you should be in a right lane just for courtesy. The only people who can exceed the speed limit, police, fire, ambulance. That's it. What is this? Does TPS have a non-emergency line to support stunt driving, or to report stunt driving, not support, report? We have a non-emergency line. It's not specifically stunt driving. You can also go onto our website, www.torontopolice.on.ca/CORE. That's CORE. That stands for the Citizen Online Report Entry. And on there, you can report either community areas, or you can report specific vehicles that are causing issues or driving dangerously or anything. If you think it's criminal behavior, you could even call what do you call it? I'm thinking here, but Crime Stoppers, if you want to make an anonymous report. You can do those things. Why do cops give tickets for license plate tint if they just tell you to get it dropped in court? I give you the ticket. You do what you want with it. You can either pay it, which is what if you're guilty, paying it is the right thing to do, and or just remove it so you don't get ticketed again. I don't tell people to go get it dropped. Now, it might get dropped in court. That's up to the court. You are responsible for what you do. Whether the court chooses to prosecute you is up to the courts. What do we got here? Are bikes technically allowed on sidewalks? If the operator of the bicycle is under 14, so up to 13 years old, then they are allowed on the sidewalk, but they have to ride safely and they cannot make it dangerous, because there are charges for people who are riding, rollerblading, skateboarding, doing anything on the sidewalk. You have to do it safely. If you are 14 or over and you're on the sidewalk, there's a charge for that. It's about bylaw. It's based on each municipality having different rules. So technically, no. And if they're e-bikes, they're absolutely not permitted anywhere. What else? What else can I cover? I don't think there's anything else to cover. I think I've exhausted the answer on that, but if you have more, ask me. What's the difference between a plate cover and a plate frame? One is a frame and one is a cover, and both are illegal. You cannot obstruct any portion of the plate. Is it illegal to pass on a double solid line? It is not suggested that you pass on a double solid line. It is not, however, illegal, as long as you can do it safely, knowing that you also cannot exceed the speed limit in order to affect that passing. It's technically and absolutely, and not just technically, it's just absolutely illegal. People think they can speed to pass. It's not the case. What you should do is plan in advance. Give yourself lots of extra time, so there's no need to go faster. Just go the speed limit, because you factored the distance and time, and you've given yourself extra time for potential traffic and delays and whatnot. Yeah, no need to speed. Leo wife, good morning, and good morning to my children who have different hairstyles today. You look marvelous. Marvelous, darling. All right. It was Billy Crystal who said, "You look marvelous." I can't do his voice. Yeah, whatever. Probably 30 years ago when I first heard that I could, but not anymore. Can I get a DUI on a scooter? In case I forgot that, unless I think I read that. I think I answered it, but I'll repeat it anyway. Anything other than muscular power, and I did answer it, is eligible for DUI. It's a criminal offense to operate any motor vehicle or conveyance, and conveyance really opens it up to everything, like even bicycle, depending on the interpretation of conveyance, which if you can get it done in a boat with no motor, which is a conveyance, I think it's just about anything. But it definitely, clearly, without question, you can get charged if you're operating something with a motor, without question. Anything other than muscular, yes. Okay. Is it illegal? Is it legal to drive in the back seat like Police Academy? Was that Bubba Smith who tore the front seat out of a little Honda Civic hatchback in the movie, which was filmed in Toronto, by the way? Would it be illegal? If you modified a vehicle, if you have a seatbelt and you can safely reach and operate everything, I don't know if it would be. I don't think it would be. I don't think I would charge anybody for it, as long as they're doing all the stuff that's legit. But I don't think that they say that you have to. That was a big man. He was a big man. But thank you for that tour down memory lane. I don't think it would be illegal. At very least, it would take some closer review of the situation. What do we got here? We got some more stuff. Can I pull a trailer without lights if you see the tow vehicle's lights? I think for very small trailers, you might be okay. Best thing would be to have the lights functional. Sergeant Campbell would be able to answer that definitively, but I vaguely remember reading something about that. I don't want to give you a definitive answer. I'm going to suggest you just get lights on your vehicle, on your trailer. But I think where is Sergeant Campbell when you need him? I got to come back to that question. CJ, if you're in earshot of the Sarge, maybe you can ask him that one, because I am unclear. And I'm sure we've talked about this before, but I'm still unclear. Thank you. He's not there? He's otherwise occupied. Oh, well, we'll come back to this. How does crossing an amber light work? Does the whole car have to pass the line before the red? So, first of all, you have to stop for an amber light. Amber lights mean stop. Many people don't realize this. It means stop unless it's unsafe to do so. So if you are approaching a green light and it turns amber while you are close to it, it's unreasonable to have you stop because it would be unsafe. You could cause a collision by slamming on the brakes. That, or slippery conditions, that would be a situation where going through an amber light would be permissible. But if you have a stale green light that you're approaching, and as you're reasonably behind the line, it turns yellow and you decide to goose it and go through it, that's the same as running a red light, and you can be charged for it. And I've laid the charge. It does get convictions. It's amazing. What is the decibel limit for a car's exhaust? Well, 74 decibels at idle for a car, 92 decibels at idle for a motorcycle, and any vehicle, stock, not stock, can be eligible for tickets creating for the charge of create or unnecessary noise. That's what I'm looking for. Exhaust system, stereo, horn, squeaky tires, like squealing your tires, all those are excessive noise, and any vehicle, whether it be by behavior defect or modification, could be eligible for that. Are sun strips on the front windshield illegal? Yes, they are. In Ontario, a vehicle manufactured January 1st, 2017. January 1st, 2017 or later would be covered in the you can't have anything on the front windshield law. Now, if it's 2016 and older, you can have that 3-inch tin strip, 75 millimeters from the top of the shield. Can I drive my brother's car, which I'm not insured on, but he is? If it's your brother's car and you live with him, then the insurance company will likely want you to be on the insurance policy. Legally, however, as a police officer, you're a licensed driver driving a vehicle that's insured, because in Ontario, drivers aren't insured, vehicles are. So there you go. You'd be allowed to drive that vehicle that you were qualified to. From a policing perspective, however, you get into a collision, and if you live with them and that you are violating the policy, or if you're younger, then they might say that you are specifically not permitted to drive the car because you're you and they don't like you. Or they might say that you're too young. Whatever the case may be, they may not cover the vehicle or replace the vehicle. Deny your claim is what I'm looking for. Yeah, there you go. Okay, let's see here. If you had to choose another profession, what would it be outside of anything to do with policing? Well, I don't know. I worked in the computer industry. I worked in real estate before. I always thought I would do something in the voiceover and radio space, but I love policing. This is actually what I've always wanted to do. This is absolutely, since I was a kid. Since it was before I turned 10 that I knew I wanted to be a copper, because we moved and I already had the police motorcycle and the police helmet all set up. I also had underoos with a Superman cape, but whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what else I would do outside of this, but I do enjoy educating people about this sort of stuff. So if you told me I couldn't do that, I don't know. Can I be a motorcycle rider, professional model? I'm not sure. I've never really spent time thinking about not doing this, because this is all I've ever wanted to do. All right, going back to questions that you have that are not that question. Is it illegal to use your left foot to brake? No, it's not suggested, but it's not illegal. And one of the reasons it's not suggested is pedal confusion. But if you look at race car drivers, they 2-foot. Is it called 2-footing? I don't know what the technical term is, but they do drive with both feet. Ola from Nax, and what else? Did I miss anybody up here? We talked to Australia. We had Pikachu pizza questions. Pikachu wants to know if I've been to Japan. I have been to Japan for like 4 hours on a stopover. That's it. I was in the airport of Japan. Where was I going? I don't remember where I was. I think I was on my way back from the Middle East. That's where I think I was. Very cool airport, by the way. But I didn't. I would have loved to have stayed. I love traveling. I'm a big travel junkie, but I don't travel much, or not nearly as much as I used to. Except at Disney, because I'm also a Disney junkie. My family are Disneyphiles. Disneyphiles. Is that the appropriate term? Okay. Is it illegal to drive on the highway with a dog in the truck bed? Yes. You cannot travel with humans or animals in the truck bed. Unsecured. Well, unsecured, I'm taking this out. They have to be crated and secured properly if they're going to be transported in the back of a vehicle, but certainly not in a pickup truck, and certainly not unsecured. It's not human. It's not nice. You wouldn't put your grandma in the back of the pickup truck, and if you would, shame on you. Okay. Many have been asked, but can you give an answer on ADLS for impaired by drugs or only alcohol? Can you? So, yeah, you can get we have devices that will do screening. So can you get an ADLS suspension for impaired by drugs? Yeah, you can. If you go through the, drug recognition expert, they'll give you an ADLS. That's a suspension when you're being charged. What are we talking about? Boom, boom, boom. If you witnessed a collision, I had to change that. They said accident. If you witnessed a collision on the highway, do you have to stop and wait? If you witnessed it, I grew up thinking that you were obligated to. I don't believe there's anything saying that you were obligated to. Now, if you see someone injured, it's the right thing to do. I stop, and if I'm a witness to it, I want to give my information because your testimony, your statement may be the difference between the right person or the wrong person being charged and later convicted, or having nobody charged because they don't have sufficient evidence to lay a charge. It's the nice thing to do. And I stop at all of them because I want to make sure everybody's okay. Covered this. Scrolling. How long will it take to get your 6 demerit points back in Ontario? Points stay on from 2 years from the date of offense upon conviction. So if it takes you a year to get to court, those points are retroactively applied. So if it was a year to get to court, they'd only be on your license for another year. If you pay for it immediately, it goes immediately and comes off in 2 years. The record, however, comes off, the conviction comes off after 3 years from the date of conviction. So if you pay a ticket today, 3 years from now, the offense will come off, the conviction. If you go to court in 6 years from now, it would be 6 years from now, they'll start the clock. Do you have to answer questions at a DUI checkpoint? DUI being a ride check, looking for impaired drivers. You need to comply with the demands. If I demand a license, ownership, and insurance because I'm giving you a breath demand, there's also something called mandatory alcohol screening now. Even if you don't answer our questions, we can make a demand. We don't have to establish that you've had alcohol in advance because mandatory alcohol screening says that if you're operating a motor vehicle and stop for a lawful purpose, I can make a demand. And again, you have to comply. If you don't comply, you're charged for failing to comply. Hey, Sarge, I got a question for you.
Well, you know what, Sean? I was just coming by.
Oh, save the day. We had technical issues today with Jerry Agar. They couldn't hear us, and then they could hear us, and then we couldn't hear them. It was magical, let me tell you. Did it
eventually work?
It was sort of. It did work. We got through it, but boy, that was a high-stress situation. I still have beads of sweat that are waiting to... Yeah, anyway. Trailers without trailer lights. If you have a small utility trailer, can you drive it or tow it without trailer lights if the vehicle lights are visible? And I couldn't remember the answer, so I was humming and hawing and waiting for you.
So it all depends on what the trailer is for. If it is a piece of equipment, it does not need to have trailer lights unless it is half hour before dusk.
No.
And it only requires one red light on the back. It doesn't require a turn signal unless it completely blocks the towed vehicle's signals. You can use arm signals. They're not very effective at nighttime. But right now, all it requires is a half hour before sunset and till half hour after sunrise. It requires one red light on the back.
And that's for like a cement mixer or tool or device. But what if it's a small utility trailer?
Including a utility.
Oh, it does cover the utility. Okay.
So the utility trailer requires turn signals.
Okay.
How do I word this? It's one of those if kind of things. I don't know if that fell out.
Well, this was one of the things we were testing. Cables, we want to know where the failure was. We still don't know.
So what I'm going to suggest is, yes, you need turn signals if it blocks anything on your vehicle to be seen. You are required to have one red light on the back no matter what type of vehicle it is. Pieces of equipment do not require the turn signals, though.
And I remember we were talking about these pieces of equipment like cement mixers and tar. Those I didn't realize those weren't trailers. Those are things.
Those are actually, yes, towed devices. They don't require a license plate or an ownership until they are actually towing something. So if you have a cement mixer that you have your tools on, it's now a trailer.
Yes.
If you have a cement mixer that has a little bit of cement in it, it's now a trailer.
Interesting, because you're hauling a load.
Yes. If you see things like cranes or gradals, which is a term for a ditch digger kind of thing, you'll see that they only have a cab for one occupant, and they're designed specifically that way so that they're not taking another passenger. Because as soon as you take another passenger with you, it's a vehicle on the road, a piece of equipment, because you're transporting them. So
I learn stuff all the time.
There you go.
I love it. Okay, we have a question. Do officers have the same powers off duty as they do on duty? This is always an interesting conversation because people go, the special constables, there's police officers, there's different rules for different ranks.
So absolutely they do. A police officer is a police officer is a police officer in the province of Ontario, 24/7, anywhere in the province of Ontario.
Until they retire or resign.
Until they retire or resign. But they do not have the equipment or the quick availability for backup, the equipment to properly arrest somebody. We make do with what we have with us, or we call a friend.
Phoning friends is good. It's better than that. What was that TV show? All the questions, you could phone a friend, you can 50-50. What was that called?
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
There you go. Yeah, it's sort of like that. You phone a friend.
So you know what? I like, I'm a great witness. I'm still a police officer. I can still step in and act, but I will make a great witness when I call somebody in to assist me to get what's ever done.
And we are obligated under the Police Services Act to do something. And what that something is could be calling 911, could be being that best witness, could be if the situation arose and we had to get involved, we could. There's so many different ways. But the question was, do we have the same authorities? We do.
Yep, 100% we do.
And then we have like special constables. They do not when they're off duty, but they still make great witnesses and they still, do the right thing.
Yep, absolutely.
Even though they have different
the difference is we can act on it.
Yes.
And we can act anywhere. Just because I work in the city of Toronto, that's where I'm employed, but I'm a police officer in the province of Ontario. So if I'm somewhere else and something happens and I need to take action, I will.
I have your favorite question. Did you know what it is?
Tinted taillight?
Yes. Can I have tinted taillights on? They are like plastic covers that can be put on and off. Caps, I think.
That would be a hard, solid no.
Negative. And for so many good reasons.
Yep. You know what? This is my thing here. Why would you want to take the one safety device that you're putting behind your vehicle so that other drivers who may not be paying attention can actually see your vehicle and not run into you and make them less effective? It makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I also don't understand why anyone wants to lower their vehicle, tint their vehicle. Beyond what is safe and acceptable. We saw an interesting vehicle yesterday. They had one headlight. I may have to post this picture. They had one headlight because they put a cold air or ram air intake by removing one headlight. So now they aren't meeting the requirements of the Highway Traffic Act, at least for driving at night. They had no front license plate. They had they had everything wrong.
Yep.
With their vehicle.
Yep. And you know what? Unfortunately, that's what's driving around on the streets. And that's what makes it dangerous.
And that was a very expensive car. What was that? It was a Supra?
I don't know if it was a Supra or it was a Mitsubishi.
I don't know, but it was fancy. I'll have to look.
It had some aftermarket body parts on it.
Yes,
so.
I think it was part of a custom shop. They're fortunate that they were on private property because at that point there was nothing for us to do. It was not driving on a road. What do we? Okay, what is the law on taking your doors off your Jeep and driving on the highway? Well, your Jeep was designed to have the doors removed. So are other vehicles of that style, and it's perfectly legal to remove the doors. Yeah, I wouldn't take it off your Mercedes, non-Jeep.
Is it legal to do?
Well, that's the question. If it's not designed that way, and if the safety requirements are such that I don't know, there's all sorts of design mechanisms in place for this others. I would say it's illegal to take and just cut the doors off your car.
I wouldn't say there's anything specific in the HCA to do it, but I think the vehicle safety standards would not be met.
And that's where I'm going with that.
And the structural integrity of a car, now that all cars are unibody, the whole thing works as one, and then has to pass the test. So if you change it, modify it, delete something that is supposed to be there, will it still pass the test?
Well, how about this? You are in a Jeep. You are higher than normal. You are higher than the bumper of most vehicles that would hit you. Just as a personal safety observation. If you're in your, low vehicle, you're right at the bumper, which means your left arm, if you get T-boned, is going to be meeting that bumper firsthand. There's nothing to save you or protect you. So just from a safety aspect, it's unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
So I would certainly pull you over if I found you with a vehicle with no doors and no roof and no anything that wasn't designed to be that way.
Yeah, and it definitely would start an investigation. It may not be illegal just on its own, but it may lead to a whole bunch of other things where we have concerns about the safety, and what we'll do is we'll pull the license plates and demand that a safety be done again.
I like where this is going. Also, I had we have the master technician who is maybe not in the live right now, but we had a great conversation about vehicles that are being chopped and turned into convertibles. And it's not simply cutting off the roof. They have to change the supports for the A pillar because it has to support the weight of the vehicle now. It's all sorts of retro work to be able to make that safe for the road once they make the mods. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of years ago, the safety standards for Ontario, they went up huge. To get a safety before, it was very, very basic. Is the tires going to fall off? Is the brakes still good? Is the shocks?
Didn't have to have an engine.
It didn't have to have an engine. Is a muffler there? Now it actually looks at the whole structure, the whole integrity of the vehicle, everything down to leaking fluids and things like that. So,
and they have tint meters as a requirement.
I have heard that they do.
Had an interesting conversation with a mechanic who says, "Yeah, I got these things, and you stick them there." And I don't know if he used it, but he had it.
No, there you go.
He said they do inspections of his shop, and he has to show that he has that device.
Well, to be able to issue the provincial safety standard certificate, then yes.
Do you have your badge? Sorry, do you always have your badge? Then, how do you identify as a police officer when out of police ID or without police ID? Boy, I was really having a hard time reading that because punctuation being in odd places. Do you always have your badge? I'm going to assume on you, and if you don't, how do you identify yourself without police identification? Well, I always have my badge with me.
Yeah, that's one of those things. My cell phone and my badge go with me everywhere. Also with my badge, I have, credit cards and ID and stuff like that. So
money?
No, money goes in the pocket, and I don't have a George Costanza wallet.
I have the Costanza wallet. That was the first thing we were issued. When you get your police badge, you're issued a little wallet that holds your ID card and your badge, and that's it. And the first thing I did was buy a wallet that carried money and credit cards because I need those.
You know what? I don't have any money, so I don't have anything to worry
It makes
about.
life so much easier.
So, yes, you can identify yourself as a police officer without your identification because it can be verified. In today's society, you better have your ID there because people will question it.
Well, that was the next follow-up question is how do you show someone you're a police officer if you're not in uniform to make them comply?
Well, you know what? That is a valid question. And there are people out here that pretend to be police officers.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Double check. You know what? Our badges and our warrant cards, which is the identification we're getting, they look official. You know what? All the ones that I've seen people carrying around, they definitely don't look official.
Fake is. We saw some fake license plates recently in the media. That someone had a fake Toronto, Ontario license plate that they were stopped. It was behind a tinted cover. They were charged. It was I think the vehicle was uninsured. They were unlicensed. Fake stuff doesn't go very far.
And that's a clue for us to stop you.
Yes.
And have a conversation.
Amazing how that works.
Yep.
A great question. Marked cruisers have a greater impact on traffic enforcement. So what's the point of unmarked units? I think this is fantastic because one of the things we like to do is to change driver behavior through the enforcement of certain behaviors, speeding, using a cell phone. If we tell someone that we're there, momentarily they'll change that behavior. They'll avoid detection or being caught. They don't want a ticket. So while what do they say when the cat's away, the mouse will play?
Yep.
So if you have an unmarked vehicle, we are hiding in plain sight, and we get to see people acting as they would if we weren't there.
You know what? It's amazing what people will do when they don't know who you are and what you're doing. I currently drive it's not an undercover car, it's a plainclothes car, just because my job function is a little bit different. I'm not doing frontline enforcement, but I can. It still has lights. We can still pull people over. It has flashy lights and everything like that. And it's amazing how many people are doing really silly stuff out there.
That's why I always see the most infractions when I'm driving home, because if people are just doing what they don't care. No cop around.
You know what? Very rarely do I see somebody on a cell phone if I'm driving a marked police cruiser. But I see it way, way too often when I'm not.
I used to really, really enjoy being in the motor squad. As a motor squad officer atop a Harley, I would roll up and just even with the engine running, I'd have to knock on windows to get people's attention to say, hey, how you doing? Pull over. Because people are so focused. But somehow there's radar, peripheral vision for a police car. It lights them up and they realize, not often, distracted people are distracted. I never had to hide that much when I was even wearing my yellow vest, standing at the side of the road doing enforcement. They don't see you because they're distracted. But yeah, for a lot of the offenses, people change their behavior to avoid detection.
You know what? Being a motor officer, probably 20 plus years ago, I recall driving on the 401, and I was actually taking the bike over to be serviced. And it's a Harley. It sounds like a Harley as you're driving along. And I was driving beside a pickup truck, and the passenger, obviously a Harley enthusiast, looked over and cheers his beer at me. And this was 9 o'clock in the morning. So we had a conversation.
I imagine you did.
And you know what? He got some autographs of mine.
Why does parking enforcement target delivery trucks? They are just doing their job. Now, we are not parking enforcement, but I can tell you that people just doing their job, breaking the law doing it, are breaking the law. And they're causing issues.
And slowing everybody down. It doesn't matter whether it's a delivery van or somebody's car, or to block a lane is blocking a lane. And you know what? If you're silly enough, or I won't call it silly enough. I was going to use another term, but
how about lazy?
If you break the law, doing your own stuff, that's pretty bad. But if you're getting paid to do a job, and you're getting paid by the hour, some of these guys, then do your job, do it properly, do it safely.
There are places to go and park legally without obstructing traffic or putting cyclists at risk, and we care about cyclists. We want them to be safe. That's why we have those cycle lanes, bicycle lanes, I should say. So if someone is choosing to just willy-nilly park wherever because they don't want to take a few extra steps, that's on them, and they deserve the ticket.
Yep, absolutely. And towed.
And towed, yes. Okay, if you have a car collision, as I update that live, that says accident, I change it to collision, when should you call the police? And thank you for your service. You're most welcome for our service. And in terms of what should you do, here's the deal. Depending on the type of collision, if nobody's injured, if you have no issues with the paperwork because there's an obligation of drivers to exchange information. If they refuse to, call the police. If they don't refuse and you get the right information and you're all going to go to the collision reporting center, you can do that. If there's someone who's transported by ambulance, we're obviously coming. If there's any illegal activity, impairment or something like that, something wonky, call the police.
And you know what? For us coming, there's a requirement to make a report. But you only have to make a report under the Highway Traffic Act if somebody is injured or the combined damage of both vehicles are over $2,000. So if none of those criteria fit, you still have to exchange information. Somebody obviously caused the collision. You're obviously going to report it to your insurance company, but a provincial collision report does not have to be filled out. So in that case, there will be no reason for the police to come unless there's something wrong.
Yeah, like someone's drinking and driving, there's drugs involved, they won't give you information, he doesn't have a license, there's all these things. And at very least, you can call and get direction, and the dispatcher might say, no, this is one thing or that's another, or they'll tell you what's happening. They'll give you some direction. So when in doubt, you can call. Doesn't mean a police officer will be necessarily dispatched, but you get some direction.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, when in doubt. There's also information on our website, www.tps.ca/traffic. Should give you to the option. I think it's where I'm saying it now. I'm questioning it. But if you go to tps.ca, there's a drop-down menu for I've been involved in a collision. What do I do? and all sorts of information available for you. And we want to get you that information because there's good information available, and we're the people who give it. I don't know, I'm just rambling. Sometimes. This is true. Not everybody does it. York Regional Police is in the chat. Hi, how you doing? What's going on? Our friends in York are watching us.
Excellent. Hello, brothers and sisters.
Yes. We have had a lot of fun. We went to and did all sorts of the, what's it called?
I don't know.
Project,
this is your story.
Yes. Project Erase. We've got to work with a lot of our policing partners from the neighboring communities, and these guys are on it. They know their stuff.
Yep. No, they're very good, very professional, very good, very knowledgeable, and passionate about what they do. So Project Erase, Erase, is a combined forces project where we target modified vehicles and street racers.
And we look forward to meeting up with them again soon. We want to create some content with them too. They're getting into the whole TikTok game. At least that's a rumor. Why do we give out certain non-moving violations if they just get dropped in early resolution? Well, we enforce the rules.
Yeah, it's not our job to decide what they're going to prosecute or not. There's an independent agency, the courts, that looks at it and looks at the evidence that's applied with it, looks at the totality, and they're the ones responsible for prosecuting it. And then the judge or justice is responsible for making the decision whether you're guilty of the offense or not. We have some leeway about what we're charging, but if something's wrong, we're going to let you know, and you may be able to deal with that in court. You may not be able to.
It puts paper down. There's a record of it. Even if you're not convicted, it's going to be a record of it. And if you continue to do it, we'll escalate those things. At very least, even if you're violating one area of law and then you're pulled over for another area, it shows a pattern of behavior. If you're continuously breaking small rules and then you start escalating to bigger rules, you had a lot of it's creating that paper trail.
Yeah, absolutely.
A question: are you allowed to stream while on shift? Yes. I am on duty. I am working. Both of us are. This is actually a studio in the police station. They're very much, the police service is very much behind what we're doing. In fact, tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m., Chief James Raymer is joining us on the air right here. I say on the air. It's kind of on the internet.
Are we doing it at 9:30 or 10?
9:30 is my understanding is when he's coming in to go.
Oh, okay.
9:30. I've advertised 9:30. I hope it's 9:30. Same timing as last time. So 9:30 go. If you want to ask questions of Chief Raymer, you can send them by going to www.trafficcop.ca. Yeah, trafficcop.ca. Yeah. You'll go into our Volley page. It's a community group. It's about 70 people. 84 people. We grew. 84 people in our group. You can ask questions in the group called Ask Chief Raymer Questions. We'll respond there, but we'll also be using those questions live when he's in the studio. So going back to, are we allowed to do this when this is actually our job, part of our job anyway. We have a lot of other jobs, and we'll be returning to those in 9 minutes, because in 9 minutes we finish the show. We do an hour and a half when we're on air with either radio. We started today off with a few bumps, talking to News Talk 1010 on the Jerry Agar Show. So yeah, this is a legitimate thing. We do this on purpose.
Yeah, and what a great way to engage people and get information out there. You know what? We used to do it the old school and do it in person, and we would talk to very few people and give some good advice. Now we get to talk to everybody. Everybody.
And they're also archived. These are all copied, all of these episodes, and we do one a day when we're in the office. They are on our YouTube page. You can watch hundreds of hours, because we've done this for 2 years. We're approaching 2 years anyway. If we... I was going to say something, and now I can't remember what it is. How long do we have to pay a photo radar ticket? I've tried to Google it, but they're seeing varying answers. I have no idea.
Nor do I. Each municipality is different. Usually it is a 15-day after the notice is served. I believe they deem the notice served after 6 days in the mail.
Ooh.
I don't know. Follow the instructions.
Toronto.ca would probably be the right place.
Well, in the city of Toronto.
This is true. If you're in Oshawa, don't do Toronto.ca.
Well, unless you got caught.
This is true. What is a special constable? We were both special constables once upon a time.
We were, yeah.
Special constables are civilian uniformed members who have expanded police powers, or some police powers, while on duty. They have an expansion from that of citizens' powers of arrest, because to go with their job function.
Right. So, special constable services with the TTC, Metrolinx, Go Transit, special constables.
Toronto Police.
Toronto Police Special Constables, Toronto Housing, Community Housing has special constables. They are employed as quasi-police officers, but they're only able to act on certain legislation. They're not given full powers of police officers, but they are given limited powers for certain acts.
Yes, and there's there's three levels. There's going to be your citizens' powers of arrest, for instance. Then you have special constables' powers, and then you have special constable powers are actually kind of depending on what they're sworn for, can do more or less.
That is correct.
So it's varying, and then there are police powers, which are the full powers, and it is very interesting. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole with only a few minutes left of the show, but there's lots to read up on. You can get a lot of information online.
And you know what, Sean? Both you and I started off as court officers. We had powers to keep people in custody and to transport people, and that was our available duties that was authorized by the Toronto Police for us to do.
We also had the ability to arrest people for certain offenses. Similar to that, we could execute warrants. We could do certain things within the scope of our duties.
Right. You couldn't go out and write a traffic ticket, though.
No, we weren't enforcing the Highway Traffic Act.
That's right.
Yeah, well, criminal side. So we can have a whole conversation about that. But definitely a good question from you. Can you be charged if your foot is on the dash? It's an interesting sound. But so you're driving around with your foot on the dashboard. Not only are
driving or passenger?
I think to me it's irrelevant. Well, actually, as a driver, you're carelessly driving.
Absolutely.
If your foot is on which foot? How flexible are you? But that's so. Aside from my awe in your ability to contort yourself while seated, if you're a passenger, you're not. If you've got your feet up on the dash, not only are you looking for a severe injury in the event of a collision, you're not properly wearing your seatbelt. You can actually slide straight out of your seatbelt. So I would possibly charge you under seatbelt laws if both your feet up.
It depends.
Yeah, it does
depends on the whole set of the circumstances.
Bad idea.
You know what? Yeah, absolutely. I've seen people with their feet out the window.
I've seen drivers with a left foot out the window. I don't understand that at all. Again, off duty. I was off duty. If we have a warrant, what do? I would call a lawyer and contact the police and have that dealt with.
Yeah.
If you know you've got a warrant, make you don't want to get arrested and detained until the time that you are either determined to be shipped off to wherever that warrant is from.
And you know what? You can make arrangements with the police officer that's investigating it to be able to process that warrant, maybe at a time that's more reasonable for you and for them, and makes the process go a little bit smoother. If you're driving down the road at 11 o'clock at night on a Friday evening, and you happen to get yourself arrested, the process would it'd take a little longer to process you through.
Can I drive a car in Canada with a Swedish driver's license? I think you can.
I think you can too.
I think I'm going to say yes.
But we don't speak the language, so you would need an international driver's license to translate.
Yeah, unless your driver's license was in English. Some foreign licenses are in English or have both. So it really depends. You may need an international license to translate. Something else to consider is if you are here and you live here, then you need to apply for an Ontario license. If you're just visiting, it's different, right. and you need to specify. So there are people who move here and they think, "Oh, just keep driving under my license from back home," and that's not the case. You can't do that. Upon becoming a resident in Ontario, you must apply for a driver's license in Ontario within 60 days.
And you know what? We can check on it. We can phone a friend and find out.
We have lots of friends all over the world.
When you entered the country. And you know what? If that time frame has expired, then your driver's license is no longer valid.
And then and oddly enough, that also turns into an overstay situation potentially where you might get deported and detained for that purpose. So there's a lot of messy things when people don't follow the rules.
Right.
Can I renew my Newfoundland plate if I live in Ontario? Well, if you live in Ontario, you should have an Ontario plate. As long as you've been living here for more than, as soon as you become a resident here, you have 60 days to transfer your plate over and register your plate and your driver's license. So can you renew your plate if you're visiting and it just happened to expire while you were here? I don't even know how you would do that. I think you have to go back home to do that.
I don't know. We can renew online.
Oh, that's true. I wonder if they have stickers. They may. You know what? I don't know if you can renew, but that would only be if you're visiting. If you're trying to get avoid having an Ontario plate because you don't like the way they look, that's not a lawful reason. Motorized scooters and sidewalks. It's getting so bad, I've seen multiple pedestrians hit. If we're saying motorized scooters, you mean e-kick scooters or e-bikes? Either way, they're not permitted in sidewalks. They're not permitted on sidewalks or crossing walks or any kind of walks. They're not.
Kick scooters are not permitted anywhere now.
In the city of Toronto.
In the city of Toronto.
That's not streets, sidewalks, or park paths. Not allowed anywhere. Private property only. When you talk about e-bikes, they're not allowed on the sidewalk at all in Toronto. They're allowed on the road. They're allowed in cycle lanes. If they are of a certain design, they're not allowed in cycle tracks. You need to know what the difference of those are. We're wrapping up because it's that time. Any tips for new drivers who are young? New drivers who are young, new drivers who are old, new drivers in general, take it slow. Don't drive beyond your abilities. Make sure you're doing it and following all the rules. Take driving lessons. That would be the best advice I can give you. Get professional driving lessons.
Absolutely. I would second that. No problem at all. Take lessons. You know what? We're professional drivers. We drive for a living. We've been driving for a long time.
We've been professionally trained.
We have additional courses. On top of that, I do not want to teach my kids how to drive.
I tried to teach my wife how to drive. I realized that being a traffic cop, especially, is a bad deal because there's anxiety that goes. People thinking they're being judged by someone who's all about the rules.
Mm-hmm.
I spent the money. We spent the money. We went to professionals.
Yep.
Yes.
As did I.
Is it okay to park over the front yard grass? That's the last question of the day. It was asked 3 times, so that is obviously important.
Depends on the municipality and the bylaws that are in that municipality.
Generally, it's not permitted. I'm going to assume. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, because I know in Toronto it's not.
In Toronto, it is definitely not.
And I'm going to assume that most places in the province, if not in the world, would say nay. They don't want you on the. But you know what? Check with your local authorities. Okay, I said that was the last one, but it's not the last thing. We have. Let's see here. Going out of province for school, but going home after school. Do I need to change the address on my license? Depends on the province you're moving into. In Quebec, you do not have to. You are considered not a resident while you're visiting there for school. You're visiting for school. In Ontario, if you're coming to Ontario, you are a resident while you're here at school. So it depends on where you're going.
Yep. Additionally to that, it's nice to know where somebody is should an emergency arise. You know what? If you're staying in a college dorm or a residence, or have roommates in a house somewhere or an apartment somewhere, if there's an emergency and we were asked to come and find you, how do we find you? The easiest way is with your driver's license. And it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the fact that...
And it's free online to change.
Yeah.
It's where that trail of breadcrumbs starts when we try and find you for your safety, when we're trying to locate you and determine where, when people care about you who are looking for you. Like it's for good reasons. It's not because we're snooping on you at university. Just to acknowledge Superintendent Trong, who is watching from 2 District. He is the York Regional Police person who is watching.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Sir. So with that, we are saying goodbye, good day, and we'll be back tomorrow, 9:30 with Chief James Raymer, who's joining us at 9:30 with hopefully fewer technical difficulties than we had today. But we're not talking to the radio, so what could go wrong?
And once again, if you have any questions, this is your chance to ask the chief.
Yeah, you got to go in advance. It's not going to be one of those things where we're live. It's going to be too busy, and he's here for a very short time tomorrow morning. So visit it's www.trafficcop.ca. You can use that to ask the questions. I've got a folder here. It's called, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, Ask Chief Raymer a Question. That's what it's called. Easy to find. Ask questions there. You can send us video.
It's kind of a clue, isn't it?
It is a clue. Video, voice, or text, whichever way works, we'll respond on the app as well as during the live. All right. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Drive sober. And park legally, because Aaron always asks people to.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Song time.
Safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt save your life indeed, and watch your Don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get freed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.